Tonight, we witnessed NASCAR history. It took over 60 years, but now Jimmie Johnson has won 4 consecutive championships. Throughout the course of this year, the team was darn near perfect. And another first for NASCAR. For the first time ever, 3 teammates have finished 1, 2, 3 in the points. You know, we always like to bring the action to the show, but tonight we're bringing the show to where the action is. This is NASCAR Victory Lane on Speed. I'm John Roberts. He's Larry Mack. He's Kenna Wallace, and we just drove by the championship winner.
Yeah, within about 25 feet of him.
I was like, Jimmy! I said, look at me!
And he looked, too. You yelled out enough. He looked. How about what we've witnessed tonight, guys? This was just so cool to see because the team was so cool under pressure.
Well, I mean, the history across the board. You look at, obviously, Jimmie Johnson, the 48 team, Chad Knaus, Hendrick Motorsports. That whole team. Jimmie Johnson was a driver, but that was a team effort. 4 consecutive Sprint Cup Series championships, and by virtue of Jeff Gordon getting a top 10 finish, Hendrick Motorsports, the first time in the history of NASCAR, an owner has 1, 2, 3 in the points.
Let's take a look at those points as Jimmie Johnson gets ready to celebrate making history. Jimmie Johnson 141 ahead of Mark Martin. There was never really much of a doubt after Jimmie jumped out and led a couple laps early. Congratulations to Denny Hamlin, certainly the hard luck kid in this chase, but luck was on his side today as he made it into the top 5.
And oh Lord, Larry McReynolds, we've been looking all year long. Looks like Carl Edwards misses the stage in Las Vegas by 10 points. So it's going to be Casey Kane in 10th spot. Carl Edwards gave it a tough fight to the very end.
But I'm going to tell you who probably leaves here feeling almost as good
Did you almost fall down?
as Hendrick
Hold on,
Motorsports is Richard Childress Racing. I'm telling you, I think they've got their act together ready for 2010.
Now, there's some people that want to see these seasons end, and they want to start afresh. But there's some guys who have good runs in the last part of the season that want to just keep on running. And I think there's a lot of guys out there, Jimmie Johnson, Chad Knaus included, that would just like to keep on racing straight through now.
Oh, no, they wouldn't. They were ready for this to be over. They're ready to go to Las Vegas, baby, and celebrate this championship.
And there's also a matter of a giant check that goes along with all this history that they have made this year. And, you know, they've just showed over and over again the level of the bar of the competition, how high it is.
And, you know, so much drama at the end. First of all, you know, Hendrick does complete the sweep. You know, Jimmie Johnson wins, Mark Martin second, and, of course, Jeff Gordon third. Not till the very end did we find out, you know, our team owner, Rick Hendrick, could not be here. His niece had emergency surgery. So drama at the end. Our hopes go out with Rick Hendrick's family.
But I think Rick Hendrick knows right now what he has accomplished with this group, with the people that he's put together. And even when he's not around, his influence is felt. Mr. Hendrick, congratulations. Congratulations to every one of the employees that made it through this season and really put on one heck of a show to finish 1, 2, 3. We got to take our first quick break as we have parked our moving stage here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. When we come back, we will have the winning crew chief, the winning driver, and the rest of the action from the last race of the season.
NASCAR Victory Lane is presented by Travelodge, Recreate, Hibernate, and brought to you in part by Wrangler, proud sponsor of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Wrangler, real, comfortable jeans.
A triumphant Jimmie Johnson has smoked his way into victory lane after winning his 4th consecutive and unprecedented Sprint Cup championship. If ever you've seen a happy guy before, it is Jimmie Johnson celebrating what no driver has ever done before in NASCAR's top series. You might have thought it was a foregone conclusion throughout the day, but it wasn't official until it was over and Jimmie Johnson had finished this race that he was a 4-time champion. All the work, all the different people that go into this championship, you can see them all celebrating there. And guys, I have to say, I have not seen this many people stay in the stands for the first 3 championships. We got this whole place still packed here.
I was thinking of some words. Listen to this, what I've dreamed up. Phenomenal athleticism to the maximum peak. And that's why you're seeing it. And Larry, one thing you said earlier today that I really liked. How do we compare this to all other major leagues? This man had to race 42 competitors. In the World Series and in the Super Bowl, it's one team against one team. What he did is, to me, equal to 10 championships.
Yeah, you have, to win a World Series and to win a Super Bowl, you obviously have to beat a number of teams, but you do it 1 week at a time. And how about that? The man that drove his guts out tonight, that came up a little short, finished second to Jimmie Johnson. In there congratulating, you saw Brian Vickers, used to be a teammate, right in there. I mean, I don't know that anybody would deny Jimmie Johnson this championship. But again, what Kenny was pointing out, when you race in NASCAR Sprint Cup Series to win a championship 36 times a year, you race 42 competitors. Yeah, when we get to the chase, maybe call it race 11, but it's everybody out there every single week, every all-star of our sport, 36 times a year.
And we are at a position these days where you actually it can come down. Ask Kurt Busch in the first chase. It actually could come down to one missing lug nut, could cost a guy a championship. So not only did Jimmie Johnson have to be perfect throughout, his entire crew did.
And they made sure they did that. They were just solid all night long. They were solid on pit road. They didn't try to have no 12-second pit stop. They just needed nice, solid pit stops, 5 lug nuts off, 5 lug nuts on, no speeding penalty. They did exactly what they needed to do, came up with a top 10 finish, and they're the champion.
And you could tell at the end of the race, they were starting to loosen up a little bit. With 5 laps to go, crew chief Chad Canals tells Jimmie Johnson, hey, I know you can't do nothing about it, but you're 6 seconds behind the leader. Jimmie Johnson responds by going, is that a dare? Do you want me to go ahead and pick up some more spots? So we know.
Said, no, it's just a fact.
I think he'd rather mess with Chad Canals than win races.
we know for a fact that Jimmie could have stood on the gas harder, maybe, picked off a couple more spots, but it was not about the race win tonight.
Let's take you back to the beginning of the day where Jimmie Johnson came in with a 108-point advantage over teammate Mark Martin. They were the only two who were mathematically eligible for the championship still. So here we go. Green flag is out. Last race of the season on the Ford 400, and Jimmie Johnson took immediate advantage of his pole position.
He made sure he got those 5 points, because now instead of having to finish 25th or better, he moved it to 27th or better right there.
And right away you're thinking, okay, Mark Martin has to take command of this race. He has to start leading laps, and Mark stuck right there in third, and we're waiting for him to make a move. And as you'll see, stay tuned, Mark does not make the move.
And there were cars dancing all around Jimmie Johnson. Got to give a call out to Marcus Ambrose in the 47, but things would change for Marcus.
Yeah, he qualified third, took the lead on lap 11, but it kind of went downhill from there. He hit the wall, and now you see him on pit road for a battery change. Kind of a great day, went bad, went worse.
Now it's also a tale of 2 races for Tony Stewart as well, as here we see the number 14 and Smoke going by Jimmie Johnson to take the lead, and you might have thought it was going to be Tony's turn to win a race.
And once again, I always call this a championship move. You see what the 48 does? He pulls over, he says, go on, Smoke. We have, a lot of racing to do.
And history tends to repeat itself over and over and over in NASCAR. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was spending a lot of time in the top 10, but he found the outside wall.
Junior just flirts with that outside so much, and it ends up biting him.
Now, this is what I talked about earlier in the show. Richard Childress Racing, they had a lot of cars that qualified up in the front, and Kevin Harvick, Jeff Burton, and Clint Boyer ran there in the top 5, top 10 a lot of the night.
Those are the guys who wish we were at Daytona next week. Take a look at the number 39. Had completed the most laps tied with his teammate Tony Stewart before coming into this. He found the wall as well, as a lot of guys were flirting with the high line and finding that it could be dangerous at times.
Well, you got to be careful when you go into these corners at this high-speed racetrack. This track does not have the grip that an Atlanta or a Charlotte does. This is a big Darlington. The track is wore out, and boom, here's what happens. You get a little testing, you spin it out.
Yeah, this was Marcos Ambrose. This was the second time that he spun out. This was about lap 109. And again, Marcos Ambrose, it just went downhill the further we went into this race for that 47 group.
And the storyline continues here. Another Richard Childress Racing car flirting with the lead. Clint Boyer, number 33, is up there as well.
And you know what? Richard Childress cars finished second and third tonight. Second, Jeff Burton. Here we go, John Andretti.
John Andretti started out bad, but when that tire started shredding, it tore up the right side of that race car. And here we go, guys. We got a good old-fashioned feud going on between the 42 and the 14.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. That was down the front straightaway. Tony Stewart's smoke just turned dead left on the back straightaway, cut that right front tire down on Montoya.
And don't look now, but besides Denny Hamlin and Brad Keselowski, now we've got the smoke. Tony Stewart and Juan Pablo Montoya from Bogota, Colombia, baby.
And Tony and Montoya are a little bit bigger than
This
Keselowski.
is unreal.
But on
right
this
here.
caution, Eric Darnell in the 96 car woed up trying to get to his pit, and look at the chain reaction. It completely destroyed the front end on two of the Richard Petty cars, Reed Sorensen and Elliott Sadler.
And after that, we heard from Elliott Sadler with the disappointment of this. Again, the history just seems to repeat itself. Race after race after race. For Elliott Sadler, they'd be running up there well, and then all of a sudden a stroke of bad luck would take this group out of it. And not only did it affect Elliott Sadler as well, but one of his teammates.
Yeah, Reed Sorensen, like I say, Richard Petty Motorsports. It seems like this year when they've had problems, I go back to Auto Club Speedway back on Labor Day weekend or just a couple of weeks ago, it's like when one gets involved in an accident, almost 2, 3, or 4 of them are in the same accident, the same caution.
Seems like if it wasn't for bad luck, they wouldn't have any luck at all, Kenny.
Well, it's no doubt that this is a historical night, but yet, you know, when you look beyond the top 10, there are teams, you know, excited about going into next year. And as we talk a little bit negative about RPM Motorsports having those 2 cars get knocked out in one, you look up the scoreboard and you say, how did RPM do? A.J. Allmendinger running great at the end of the race, running 7th and 8th. So, you know, RPM has a little bit to look forward to as A.J. Allmendinger saves the day.
And that was in a Ford again, so his runs in that Ford ended up pretty solid here at the end of 2009.
So whatever happens to a race team here at Homestead Miami Speedway, they have to carry with them for a good couple of months before we get another chance to race, whether it be good or bad. As the fireworks explode here between the palm trees at Homestead, Jimmie Johnson celebrates championship number 4. Race number 36 of the 2009 Sprint Cup season is in the history books, and so is Jimmie Johnson with his unprecedented 4th consecutive championship. When we left you just a moment ago with the highlights, well, there's fireworks going off here, and there weren't so much fireworks on the racetrack as a lot of nervous competitors looking around to see exactly what was happening. You may have thought it was a foregone conclusion that Jimmie Johnson was going to win this championship, but he still had a lot of racing to go, and as we saw at Texas, anything can and will happen on the racetrack. Let's go back to the highlights at the halfway point of this race. You see the sun is still out, and a lot of guys, Larry Mack, were counting on their cars coming around when the sun went down.
Yeah, and they were starting to have to get a little bit of aggressive with adjustments. You had to do a good job of keeping up with this ever-changing racetrack, especially once the sun went down.
But at this time, we can officially say, look at this. Richard Childress Racing is for real. Whatever they've done in the shop has got these teams back on track because Kevin Harvick is leading, and here you're seeing some really good dicing. Look at Carl Edwards peek around the outside of Vickers, can't get it done, falls back in line, but what great racing.
And this is what makes a championship competitor nervous.
Yeah, what happened there on that 4th caution at lap 115 where we saw the stack up on pit road, a lot of competitors stayed out, 20 cars in fact, and the 48 and the 5 came to pit road, and they were stuck back there about 23rd and 24th on the restart.
More beating and banging going on between the 14 and the number 42. This is something
Here we
to keep
go.
an eye on.
Here we go.
Oops.
Oh!
Well, there is a saying, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and I think here's a case of the gander getting it back.
But you know what? I mean, we're talking about 2 world-class drivers, okay? Listen, race fans, none of these 2 drivers are bigger than the other, no matter what you think or what you say.
You mean in size and physical stature if they get in a fight? Or?
In every manner.
What we have to document, that 42 car had to go to the garage area for a number of laps for repair. Tony Stewart was still on the lead lap, and Montoya caught him just right, just a little on the free side in 3 and 4.
But all in fun, Larry, it was just a year ago. Tony Stewart's saying, hey, Juan, come on up to Eldora for the prelude to the dream. I love you, buddy.
All right, cooler heads prevail, and we go back to another restart, of course, double file. And we see again that some of the top cars have made their way back up to the front of the pack again. And right now, got to keep an eye on the Blue Deuce, the number 2 of Kurt Busch.
But at that point, the 11 car, Denny Hamlin, was the leader. His pit crew was almost flawless on pit road during the course of the race.
And we see number 29 of Richard Childress Racing, number 31, Jeff Burton, also of RCR.
And you know what's amazing? This 31 car almost won the race last week, finishes second at Phoenix, and you're thinking, look at this. He is for real. When I watched the 31 car in practice, his right front was rolled over, he was turned, he had a lot of grip in practice, and look at him eat that white lineup.
And last race for Pat Tryson, crew chief of the number 2 before he leaves for Michael Waltrip Racing, and that team put together a fantastic effort.
Yeah, that car was pretty solid all weekend long. They led a lot of laps, and we'll talk about it here in just a little bit. They kind of faded at the end because of a call for 2 tires only on the last caution.
Robbie Gordon gets a little too high on the racetrack, a little too loose, and then goes for a spin. Got on the radio and said, sorry guys, just got loose.
Well, Robbie decided to spend all of his time over in California on Friday, Saturday to win an off-road truck championship.
Yep, won the championship there.
So he did not have any time in his car. He had Matt Crafton in it.
Family affair up in the front row. You got the Busch brothers, Kyle and Kurt, and also Denny Hamlin up there as well, trying to break up that family affair.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin continued to flex his muscles here once the racetrack cooled down and we got into the nighttime.
And I would say this is officially the time right here that we said, uh-oh, it looks like Denny Hamlin is going to win this race because, as you said, Larry, you know, he's getting it done on the bottom, but it's a really good battle for the lead for a little bit. You just don't simply pass somebody quickly here.
But we talked about Richard Childress Racing. Looks like to me that the crew chief change on that 18 car to Dave Rogers for the last 3 races of 2009 has worked out.
Let's go 3 wide here at Homestead because you can do it.
I would say Chad Knaus's voice went up about an octave right here, probably.
Most likely, and you see Kevin Harvick thinking about maybe even making it 4 wide, but that would be unwise.
But at this point, there was urgency in Jeff Gordon's voice. He knew he had to finish 3rd in the points. If he did not finish 3rd in the points, it was going to be a disappointment because they wanted to sweep the top 3 points position.
You can never say that Mark Martin doesn't give it his all. He raced till the very end. So did Clint Boyer and Martin Truex Jr., his last run in that number 1 car. But as we closed in on the final laps of this race, when the checkered flag came out, Denny Hamlin got the win, and Rick Hendrick Motorsports got the 1-2-3 finish with Jimmie Johnson making history as the first ever 4-time consecutive champion in NASCAR's top series. Crew chief Chad Knaus, hugs all around. Congratulations among the crew members, and man, after a long, long season, they earned it.
And Chad Knaus continues to add his numbers because remember, last year he became the first crew chief to win 3 consecutive championships.
Couple of chasers up in the top 5. You got Jimmie Johnson, Kurt Busch, and Denny Hamlin also up there. The Richard Childress Racing cars of Jeff Burton and Kevin Harvick.
And looky there, just like we talked about, A.J. Allmendinger does carry the flag for Richard Petty Motorsports in 10th spot.
Martin Truex last run in the 1, a top 10 finish. Clint Boyer, another Richard Childress Racing car, and there's Mark Martin.
And that's a solid run for Bill Elliott. They came here, they were fast, they've run that limited schedule this year. They've had a pretty solid year with that 21 car.
Boy, they sure have, and they're looking at running at least a couple more races next year with Bill Elliott. Casey Mears, could that possibly be his last race with Richard Childress? We don't know yet.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. finished in the 28th spot. I guess that group is probably looking forward to regrouping.
I would say they were very glad to see the checkered flag here tonight.
Michael Waltrip in the 55, his final full-time run in that car, but he still will be around for a while.
And Bobby Labonte has announced he will be with this team full-time next year in 31st position.
Juan Pablo Montoya, the pride of Miami down here, finished back in the 38th position after a rough and tumble day on the racetrack.
But those guys have nothing to hang their head about with the year they had with that 42 car.
Elliott Sadler in the number 19, a victim of bad circumstances on pit road, Terry Labonte and Michael McDowell. Let's now take a look at the final points, and we say once again at this point in the evening, these always are unofficial, but officially, Jimmie Johnson is the champion. 1-2-3 finish for Hendrick Motorsports, and Kurt Busch is the first guy outside of that Hendrick bunch.
And I would say that 83 car, add them to the list as a team that's glad the 2009 season over. They got to the chase, and it just went south from there.
But anybody you're looking here, Larry, I think has to really be able to hang their hat. If they were championship contenders or not, they were the best of the best in the top 12. Let's now check in with Wendy Venturini, who is standing by with race winner Denny Hamlin.
It's an electrifying night for Denny Hamlin in Victory Lane here at Homestead. Congratulations, what a way to go out on top for 2009.
It feels great. Our whole FedEx team and all the employees, we've given them something to cheer about this year, that's for sure. We just, just had those few mistakes in the chase, and that it cost us the chance to the championship this year. But without a doubt, we're going to be there. Give us a couple years and at least, and we're going to be champions. This team deserves it, and I feel like everyone has progressed to a championship caliber team.
You moved up 3 spots tonight. 5th, that's awesome. Congratulations on that as well. Did you ever expect you'd be in the top 5 when you left Homestead tonight?
No. I thought the chances of that were very slim. We needed some guys to have some mistakes, and they did. But it just was a great day for us to come from 38th and race our way to the front like we did, not doing it on pit strategy. It's just a great day for us, and just got to say congratulations to our whole team getting 4 wins this year, and Michael Waltrip on a great career.
All right, how are you going to celebrate? Great off season. Got anything planned?
Well, I was planning on going to the Champions Party anyway tonight, so now I've got a reason to celebrate myself. But congratulations also to Chad and those guys. I told Chad, I saw him walking to Victory Lane up there. I said, I'll be there. Don't give me a few years. I'm gonna be there. We just need to progress a little bit and mature as a driver, and I feel like it's just a matter of time.
All right, congratulations, Denny Hamlin, and I appreciate it. You gave me the little eye look before he sprayed champagne, said, I'm not going to get you. We appreciate it at speed.
That didn't work out for us last week,
Yeah.
ladies. We got the Gatorade bath, but at least they're nice to Wendy. Let's now take a look at our Valvoline championship move of the weekend, guaranteeing the championship. And you know how you guarantee a championship? Well, you simply have to win, guys. Jimmie Johnson won 4 races during the chase to up his championship average from years past.
Yeah, Dover sat on the pole and led 271 laps, went to Auto Club Speedway, and then Lowe's Motor Speedway, and then annihilated the field last week at Phoenix.
And I'm going to tell you what, everybody says, what's the deal with Jimmie Johnson? I say he's fast.
Here's the deal with him. When we come back,
Make your race car better, maybe you can run with him.
when we come back, Jimmie Johnson will join us on Victory Lane. A big history-making congratulations to Jimmie Johnson from NASCAR Banking, only from Bank of America. Now, talk about pressure. Even though you got a lead, you still have 42 other guys on the racetrack that have the opportunity to derail you, whether by beating you or knocking you out of the way. Jimmie Johnson joins us now. Congratulations on history in NASCAR. Jimmie, was there ever a time throughout that race that you could relax thinking you had it, or did you have to see the checkers wave?
No, I really wanted to win this race today, especially as the race went on. I felt like we had a shot at it. We started off early well and then slipped a little bit and didn't have the best track position for restarts and stuff. But, man, the car was driving so good those last 2 or 3 runs. A little too loose on the final run, and I just knew not to push it, just kind of wait for the right front to pump up and go from there. But as you can see on television, there were some hairy moments, multiple times where guys were just racing real hard. And I wish that they had shown a little bit more space. That one, actually, I caused that one. Those guys got tangled up off the 2, and I tried to pass them both, and it didn't work out. But had a couple close moments with 33 and 42 that I could have done without.
Jimmie, one of my themes all day long has been the fact that different from stick and ball sports, where, yeah, maybe to win a World Series or a Super Bowl, you have to beat a lot of teams, but you do it one team at a time. For the first 35 races, you have to race 42 teams. And I know your philosophy never changed. You proved that at Phoenix. But was the mindset tonight, okay, yeah, I want to win this race, but honestly, I'm racing one team. I'm racing that 5 car. I just need to beat him to win this championship.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, I just wanted him in my sights, wanted him around. I knew how important track position was going to be, so I didn't want to just worry where the 5 was and ride next to him. Up front's the best place to be. But at the end of the day, I knew if guys were going by me and things weren't working out, that I just needed to be within 25 positions of the 5 cars. So I did play it smart, but at the same time, it was hard because the car was so good and I wanted to go. And once things thinned out and got single file, I could start racing.
Jimmie, I'm just so elated for you and loaded full of questions. I guess the first thing that we got to talk about is, I don't know, was there anything else that your whole team wanted to accomplish? You've swept the top 3, Jimmie Johnson, Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon. You've said history here. I mean, was there anything that else you could have wanted?
From a team perspective, we want the 88 up there.
Right.
And they're getting close and running well and fast, so that's the next step for next year, and we'll get that taken care of. And you've always wished that you could have won more races. There were a few that got away from us this year. I really wanted to win 48, have this be my 48th win here at Homestead. If I was able to get the victory lane, would have been really cool, but we'll have to save that for another time. It's hard to say that we should have done more because we've had the most amazing year and so blessed and fortunate. You know, I just can't thank Rick enough for believing in me and giving me this chance. Lowe's for signing up when they did. When I was, at the time, I was still running in the Nationwide Series, and I think my best finish was 6th. For them to believe and see, and Jeff Gordon to race with me and say, hey, this is a guy that we need to put on the race team. I just can't believe where we are today. It's really, really amazing and mind-boggling.
And just to have fun with this, Larry, do you think NASCAR is going to let him win another championship?
I don't know if anybody can stop him. Hey, Jimmy, every year that we've done this the past 3 years, now this 4th year, we've asked you, what's the next step? Do you ever get complacent? Do you ever rest on your laurels? But I don't think you and Chad have that in your blood. I think you guys go to work, well, maybe not tomorrow. Hopefully not tomorrow, but as fast as you can.
Tomorrow's going to be a rough day. No, and I mean, obviously, every professional athlete at some point hits that period where they're out of gas. And at the age I am in, I think Chad as well, the youth in the team, what we're experiencing, I don't see that being anytime soon. And certainly someday down the road that will happen, but right now, we're excited. We're looking forward to next year, and we want to do this again. I mean, that's really our goal.
It's too much fun.
Well, I wouldn't quit doing it.
We've worked so hard to get here. You know, I mean, as you guys know, it takes so much to get here, and the fact that we've been able to maintain at this high level over a long period of time, we're inspired to keep doing it.
You know, Jimmy, so many marks set today and tonight. The fact of 4 consecutive championships, never been done. Hendrick Motorsports, you talked about the organization. 1, 2, 3, and now Rick Hendrick Motorsports name goes up right beside Petty Enterprises with 9 Sprint Cup Series championships.
It's amazing. I know that Rick has some goals and would like to be the most successful owner in the sport. Hopefully us 4 drivers can help him get there. He's given us all the tools, and I wish he was obviously here today. I mean, I'm kind of empty in my heart knowing that he's not here, but he's obviously tending to things at home with some family issues. Hopefully that goes well, and our thoughts and prayers are with the family. But for what this man gives the sport and puts into the sport and gives to all of us, I mean, we all have a story about Rick and how he's helped in our own personal lives and situations. The man just never stops giving, and I'm so happy to make him smile tonight.
Well, I guess this is it, Jimmy. Back at Indianapolis Motor Speedway,
yep,
we were talking about trading helmets.
Yep.
And you said, Herman, let's trade helmets. And we got to be honest now. We've been scared to death to do it because we didn't want to
right.
jinx, we didn't want to jinx
anything.
Now there's nothing left to jinx.
So, Jimmy, this is my real helmet from last night's race. And, oh, my God, I can't believe I'm going to get one of your
This is one of mine.
your helmets.
I think I had 4 all year long. I don't wear many, and 2 primary Lowe's helmets and 2 Cobalt helmets, and here you go, brother.
Jimmy, I'm honored, buddy.
That's pretty
I love
cool,
it.
man. That's a
home.
great tradition.
Hey, hold
I've
on
got to
now.
sign it.
I got to get this on Facebook so I can show this to all my fans. So, Larry, will you start recording that for us? Get your hand out of the way.
All right.
All right, here we go.
Shameless plugs. They just never end.
I know, they never end. All right, well, Jimmie Johnson, congratulations once again. You have proven that nice guys can finish
I
first.
appreciate it. Thank you so much,
Congratulations.
guys.
You're a 4-time champion, 4 in a row.
4.
Jimmy, look at your numbers in the chase. 60 races, 18 wins, 33 top 5s. Congratulations. Well done. We'll see you here next year.
Thank you so much.
When you consider it actually could come down to one loose lug nut costing a team a championship, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series becomes one of the purest forms of team sport there is. But these teams have to last throughout a series of 36 races, and they have to be absolutely perfect. Over the past 4 years, no one has been as close to perfect as Chad Knaus, Jimmie Johnson, and his number 48 team. Want to congratulate and welcome in the winning crew team. Hey, that's pretty good, man.
How did you learn how to do that?
That's slick.
Teach me that.
Hey, at least it's not your crew members getting us with the Gatorade.
Oh,
Chad,
no.
Congratulations. We just said this to Jimmie Johnson once a moment ago. You guys have just proven that nice guys can finish first, and hard work does pay off.
Man, I'll tell you, I don't even know where to begin. And I know that 10 years from now, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to think about this, and I'm going to pull out the video from my flip camera, and I'm going to look at all that.
You were just shooting video of Kenny Wallace.
I was. And I'm just going to be blown away because I don't know that I actually truly understand what's going on yet. And I don't think if you're in the middle of it, I don't think you can. I really am excited. I don't even know what to say. I'm at a loss for words. I'm just happy to be a part of Hendrick Motorsports. Happy to have the team that we've got with Lowe's Racing. Happy to have the driver that I've got. I hate that Mr. Hendrick wasn't here, but he had a family emergency. He had to stay in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I hope everything's well there, boss. And we've got Lowe's, and we just signed Lowe's again. We just signed Jimmie again. So we've got we've got a great future ahead of us. I mean, we've got so many more great things to have happen. I can't wait.
Chad, I guess your reputation for perfection, it precedes you. You've taught us. We know how much perfection you expect. Now, I mean, where do you go? I mean, I know you're just going to keep winning championships.
I hope. I hope.
How do you keep the momentum going?
It's the thing that we work really hard on, especially with the 48 guys and in all of Hendrick Motorsports. We get a lot of people that are self-motivators. They motivate themselves. They want to win races. They want to win championships. They have the desire to go out there and do whatever needs to be done to make that happen. So it's not going to be difficult to keep that motivation level, to keep these guys going, because, I mean, that's all they want to do is win races, and that's all I want to do, and that's all Jimmie wants to do. I really think that we could have won the race tonight. If it had been a little bit different situation.
We heard you dare him at the end of the race.
I believe the man would rather mess with you than win races.
He would. And I'll tell you what, man, that car was so fast. And I look forward to coming back here to Homestead next year, and hopefully we can do the same thing.
You know, Chad, what I noticed, we had the fourth caution on lap 115. We had only run 2 or 3 laps since everybody been on pit road. And I know I got caught off guard, and I think you did too, that as many cars stayed out and as many cars came on the pit road. The good news for you, Alan Gustafson in the 5-car followed you right on the pit road.
I'm not going to lie, we were keying in on those guys a little bit to see what they were going to do. And here's the situation, if we had pitted, if we hadn't pitted, they would have pitted. They could have gotten off cycle with us, and we would have had an issue at that point. So we wanted to make sure we stayed close to those guys. I really thought there would have been at least 3 or 4 cars ahead of us, and a bunch of the guys behind us come down pit road, but they didn't. That was a shocker to me. But thank God the Lowe's car was just so fast. He just motored through traffic. You know, where everybody else was kind of stuck in traffic, Jimmie did a fantastic job of just being able to cruise by and pass people at will. It was pretty awesome.
Chad, you know, I think all of us, I don't know about you, and we expected Mark to really contend and lead laps tonight. Did it catch you off guard that he didn't?
It did a little bit. It really did. I thought they were going to be a little better than what they were. Mark was real happy with his car yesterday. Well, as happy as you can be here. This is a difficult racetrack to get around, so he wasn't as happy as he wanted to be. But man, they were fast in practice, and I really thought they were going to do well. And they've been awesome on the 1.5-mile racetrack. So I thought they would be up there. And you know, I hate it for those guys, but they did come back and finish in the top 10, which is a very respectable way to end the season, especially with a great run they had. I mean, you guys have to realize, 4 years ago, he was on the verge of retirement and was going to run part-time schedules and do stuff like that. And then Rick calls him up and says, hey, man, I want you to drive my car. Mark's like, nah, I don't think so. And then you know how convincing Mr. Hendrick can be. So I think it's a great thing, and the tenacity of that 5 car is just unparalleled. Alan Gustafson and his team, they just do a fantastic job of never say die, and they keep pushing, man, and it's awesome racing against those guys.
How soon do you start preparing for championship number 5, or have you guys already started?
We've already started. Whether we'd have won the championship or not, we were already preparing for the Daytona 500. I can't wait. How many days?
84.
84. He's got the minutes in a second.
I think we're down into 83
hours
now. Yeah, down in 83 and some
83
hours.
days, yeah. So, I mean, I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun next year. I'm looking forward to it. You know, Jimmie's come back, Lowe's has come back, our whole team's coming back, I think, and man, I'm just stoked. I can't wait to get to Daytona.
It is unprecedented for a driver to get 4 championships in a row. It is unprecedented for a crew chief to get 4 championships in a row. Chad,
thanks,
congratulations.
Jared.
Great job, man.
See
you here next year.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, everybody out there. I really appreciate all the fans tuning in, and we had a great crowd, and I can't wait for Daytona to see you all again. Thanks.
And we're going to be there very soon, according to Larry Mack. Just ask him. It's like he's got the hours and the minutes. Got a question about next weekend's race? Send it to Race and Chase Preview Show at speedtv.com every week. Then watch Race and Chase, the preview show, NASCAR on Speed to watch, and go to the video section of NASCAR.com. Race Chase number 10 is over. That means the 2009 Chase for the Sprint Cup Championship is over as well. And Jimmie Johnson once again has made history as the team continues to celebrate around that 4th consecutive trophy. They have a lot to get done tonight, and Jimmie Johnson, well, he told us just a minute ago, it's probably going to be a pretty rough day tomorrow. Don't know what he meant by that, but anyway, teammate Mark Martin finished 2nd in the points for the 5th time in his career. He finished 12th in the race, but no one can argue that Mark Martin didn't give it his all till the end. Here's Bob Dillner.
An unbelievable hard-fought effort by the entire 5 team and Mark Martin. Mark, this was a tough race, wasn't it?
Yes, my prayers are with the Hendrick family and everyone affected by this tragedy. And, you know, feeling a little down about that, and slightly bummed about being this close and not pulling it off, but incredibly privileged to have this opportunity. And I want to thank the fans, and I want to thank all the, all the competitors. Gosh, that meant more to me than the trophy. Of course, I don't have one, but it meant more to me than I think the trophy would have the kind of support that I've had from the competitors as well as the fans.
So many people rooting for you, Mark. Jimmie pulling off his 4th consecutive title. What do you think about that?
Well, this might have been the hardest one of all to win that we picked, but I'm so proud of this team and so glad I got to drive this car. And I don't know what next year will bring, but we'll dig deep, and whether we do better or worse or the same, we're going to be looking for more, and we'll try to see if we can find enough to pull it off. It was enough this year to beat a couple of guys that held me off before, Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon. So it was really, really, really a special year in my life.
What do you think about a 1-2-3 Hendrick finish?
Congratulations to Hendrick Motorsports, but I know we all have heavy hearts right now.
Mark Martin, of course, talking about the niece of Rick Hendrick, the team owner, but a valiant effort by one of the nicest people in our sport.
One reason we all loved Dale Earnhardt, because he was a working man. He worked in a tire store, and he worked and he became a great race car driver. This is why we all love Mark Martin. That's why everybody inside the garage area loves Mark Martin. He worked hard. He gave it his all. He respects everybody for respecting him. And Larry, it'd just be a shame for him not to win a championship, but I think we're all preparing ourselves for it. But he signed a 2-year contract to go 2 more years.
And I tell you, I'm so happy for Mark Martin. I watched Mark Martin run his first Sprint Cup Series race in 1981. He has over 750 starts. Yeah, now he has finished second 5 times in the points, actually twice to Dale Earnhardt. But Mark Martin said in an interview earlier today on NASCAR Race Day with Kyle Petty and Darrell Waltrip, this is the most fun he's ever had in a season. And that's the reason that led him at 50 years old to go ahead and sign for 2 more years at Hendrick Motorsports. I'm telling you, fans, we have not heard the last of Mark the Kid Martin.
Yeah, watch out for the next 2 years. If Mark Martin's driving a race car, he's going to be a threat for the championship. Once again, our thoughts as well are with the Hendrick family tonight. When we come back, we'll talk to the other one of the 1-2-3 punch for Rick Hendrick Motorsports. Catch This Week in NASCAR on Monday. The gang will recap Homestead and take a look back at some of the wackiest twin moments. We'll also review the most exciting and breathtaking action from the 2009 Sprint Cup season this week in NASCAR, Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, only on Speed. So another bit of history that was reached today for the first time ever in NASCAR's top series. 3 teammates have finished 1-2-3 in the points. Of course, those teammates, Jimmie Johnson, Mark Martin, and Jeff Gordon in the 3rd place, all representing Hendrick Motorsports. Let's go back to Bob Dillner and hear from Jeff Gordon.
A 1-2-3 finish in the standings for Hendrick Motorsports, a 6th place finish for this guy right here, Jeff Gordon. And tonight was a difficult night, but a good one none the same for Hendrick Motorsports.
No, it was. Our thoughts certainly are going out to Rick and his family right now. I know, how much he'd like to be here, but I also know how much family means to him. And so I just want to let him know congratulations, and that we're certainly thinking of you. But I know how proud he is to be 1-2-3. I know how much it meant for him. He kept sending me texts and calling me and everything all week long, going, really need that 1-2-3. So he put a little pressure on me and this team that I don't think we really were thinking about, other than just trying to come here and win. And so that did put a little extra pressure on us. And then what can you say about Jimmie Johnson and Chad Canales and all the guys on Lowe's Chevrolet team? I never thought I'd see anybody win 4 in a row. And who's to say they won't go win 5 in a row next season? And we're really, really proud of them. I know as a member of Hendrick Motorsports, it's an honor, to see our organization excel like that. And it takes all the people, everybody out there to make it happen. And I got to say thanks to the fans. It's been a great year. We really appreciate everything that the fans have done for this sport this year.
Good season for Jeff Gordon and the 24 gang. And how about Jimmie Johnson and Jeff Gordon going for the drive for 5 next year?
And you know, I know Jeff Gordon really wants to see that 48 car succeed. He's the guy that told Rick Hendrick, hire Jimmie Johnson. He's part owner in that 48 car. But headed into 2002, Jeff Gordon had 4 Winston Cup championships. Jimmie Johnson was a rookie, and now they are tied for championships. I know Jeff Gordon is a company man, but I think deep down, it's eaten inside of him that this kid, Jimmie Johnson, is now tied with him with 4 championships.
And read a quote from Jeff Gordon earlier. He says he remembers the day that he tried to convince the executives from Lowe's that this guy could win races. I think he actually...
I think he nailed it.
Yeah, I think he nailed that one.
He should receive a bonus.
Exactly. There's Jimmie Johnson, a big championship, deserves a big bottle of champagne. I'm just glad he's out of range. Back in a moment.
NASCAR Victory Lane is presented by Travelodge, Recreate, Hibernate, and brought to you in part by Orbitz. Visit Orbitz.com today and save.
Without sponsors, NASCAR simply doesn't work. The sponsor of NASCAR's top series is Sprint, and we are fortunate to have Tim Considine with us here from Sprint.
Thank you, guys.
And your company must be as proud of Jimmie Johnson as anybody else.
You know, it's been an amazing year. I was at the Contender press conference on Thursday on Coral Gables, and Mr. Hendrick was in the middle. Jimmie's on the right, Mark's on the left. And I just thought to myself, on Sunday, no matter what happens, there are no losers. I mean, these guys, there's the dignity, the respect that those guys have for each other. But to 4 in a row it's astonishing.
We always wonder what makes a sponsor happy. So what were some of Sprint's highlights this year? What made you excited?
You know, being part of history is always a highlight. And certainly 4 in a row by Jimmie Johnson and the 48 team, certainly the highlight. For us, a close second, though, the All-Star race. I mean, I think that 10-lap shootout was as good a set of racing as we've all seen in quite a while. And again, we're proud of the fact that, you know, that double file restart format found its way into the series. And that's why, you know, we're so happy with NASCAR and how, you know, they're willing to make changes to improve the sport. And that's why we feel that the best days of NASCAR are still in front of it.
And talking about making changes quickly, Tim, we're going to Vegas for the banquet in less than 2 weeks after going to New York for 29 years.
You know, we're excited. I think it's good to change things up a little bit and go out to a new city and go to a new set of fans, and we're excited about it.
Awesome.
Tim, thank you very much. I know the
Thanks,
fans
guys.
are excited about it, the drivers are excited about it, and Sprint has a lot of great reasons to be excited about what went on here tonight. We have witnessed history here tonight at the Homestead Miami Speedway. For the first time in over 60 years of racing, there is a 4-time consecutive champion on NASCAR's top series. Want to remind you to tune into the Race Hub this week. Got a lot of great guests, and thanks everybody for coming along for the ride.